Welcome to the Enlightened Misfits podcast, a space for spiritual entrepreneurs who refuse to settle for anything less than their purpose. I am your host, Lauren Perlingi. After surviving a near-death experience and being declared gone for 3 minutes, I woke up with a mission to help women turn self-sabotage into self-compassion and fear into fuel. Here, we're going to dive into raw conversations, practical tools, and inspiring stories designed to help you break free from old patterns, claim your voice, and build a business that lights up your soul. If you've ever felt like you don't fit the mold, you're in the right place. This is where Misfits rise into their power. Welcome back to the Enlightened Misfits podcast, a show for the misfits, the sensitive leaders, the witches, and the soul-driven entrepreneurs who are done with this old paradigm of this hustle and ready to build a business that actually honors who they are. I'm your host, Lauren Perlingi, an intuitive human design business guide and trauma-informed healer. And we talk all about things healing, entrepreneurship, nervous system safety, intuition, and what it really looks like to become visible without burning out or betraying yourself. Carla Jayne, I am so excited that you are here with me. Welcome to the show. For everybody listening, can you introduce yourself in your own words and tell us a little bit about what you do?
Well, I am Carla Jayne. I call myself the practical magic coach. So that essentially means that I work with magic, but on a practical level. Obviously, there is also that nod to the fabulous film, but it's also because I like to do things and break things down easily for people. So I work with magic. I'm a witch, so I work with that. But I also work with entrepreneurs, people who want to be entrepreneurs, and anyone who is that woo-loving weirdo, and just helping them get out of their own way and with visibility as well, and generally just helping you to align your body, your energies, and your values to what you want. So I generally do a little bit of everything because I'm an eclectic chaos witch. So I do a little bit of everything, but I do enjoy most of all just helping people just get out of their own way, because it is so it's a whole thing. It's very much a whole thing.
Yeah. So kind of like, can you tell us a little bit about like what kind of where did you kind of come from versus like you're like, this is exactly what I'm meant for? Like, what was that moment that you realized like, wait, this is actually my path, versus like what fear did you have to kind of move away to kind of claim that?
Sure. So I've had a few moments like that over the past few years. So this all started way back when I was a teacher, and I taught feral teenagers. That's the most appropriate wording that I can say for them. I loved them, but I taught these teenagers the subject that I was teaching, but also I taught them how to be human and how to be an adult. And it just ignited a real big passion in me. And so I went into confidence coaching because I thought that was my pathway. And from there, the confidence coaching, I didn't connect the magical side of it. I didn't connect any of the woo aspects to it, aside from like meditation and a little bit of EFT. It wasn't until a couple of years ago where I was like, I'm doing all of this energetic work. I'm doing it to support my business. But my brain was going, no, logic. You have to do the logical side of things. You can't do the same. And I knew in my own personal life and supporting my business, I was like, but I do this. I know that magic and science work together. So it was a little bit of a kick out of the broom closet moment a couple of years ago. And I now combine both the business coaching side of things and the magical side of things. And I love it. And it's where I need to be, because I knew that this is how I'm showing up for myself, and I know that it's really helping me. So it's going to help other people. And so, yeah, the
Yeah.
practical
I,
magic coach was born.
yeah, I was gonna say, and it's like literally that's literally what you call yourself, the practical magic coach, because I feel like um I guess it's been a couple years that it's more of like that saying that you're a witch, or saying that you're like different, or like I'm not just like a coach. It's like I do this, but I do it a little bit different, right? And I feel like that comes from, our wounding. It comes from ancestral stuff, and it comes
Yep.
from like being able to speak who you are, like through like that self-embodiment of like self-trust of like I can say this, and like our egos aren't bad, right? They're just there to protect us, because it's like
Oh, yeah.
you can't you can't say that, you can't say that, like that. And I think that
Yeah.
that's kind of where a lot of people are right now. It's like using your intuition versus like actually building like a strategy that's aligned with your intuition. It's kind of the same thing when it comes to business. Would you not agree?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like we're so it's so drilled into us that logic and data, that's what we need to rely on. But the intuition aspect of it gives you logic because it tells you what you need to hear, and it gives you data. It can show you, okay, so it's a feeling as opposed to something on paper or something on the screen. It's a feeling that you then need to work with and go, okay, so what's underneath this? So this is like where I absolutely love diving into. I'm a huge nerd, if you hadn't already noticed. And it's like one of my favorite things is to go into it. And it's not about like kind of the ex extraneous, I think, if that's a word, um
Yeah, I think so.
like self-development side of things, but
Right.
it is about knowing yourself. It is about
Right.
knowing yourself and being able to really go, okay, this is a sign from my intuition, and then this is a sign, and then my ego pops up and goes, hold on a minute, that's new, that's unsafe. And so you then have to work with your intuition going, no, it will be okay. Yes, I'm going to be scared. Yes, it's unfamiliar, but I can still move forward. So it's knowing areas of where to soothe, areas of where to just feel the fear and do it anyway, and areas
Right.
of going, okay, this doesn't feel right in my body, so I'm going to park it or think about it for a little bit. So it's a very delicate balance, but it is something that
Right.
I love to work with, and I know that it's really helpful for others to work with that too.
Yeah. Now, when you say the delicate balance, kind of like if somebody's listening to this and they're like, okay, so it's like intuition is like kind of like I feel like people have been made this like a buzzword of like listen to your intuition and be like use discernment, and it's just like how the fuck do I do that? Like how does
Yeah.
that like if I'm just somebody new of like okay, I'm new to all this. Like it's how do I like what would you kind of direct them besides obviously working with you, but where
Hmm.
would you direct them into like what could they start with? Like, where could they start with, because all of us have intuition. You don't need to be
Yeah.
some like, you just need to practice with it. But um it's not like you're not different. If you're human, you have an intuition, right? So it's like where would you have them start? When if and when I should say that they are like I
I
don't start.
Sure. Working with your body first and foremost is the biggest step to work with your intuition. So I get people to connect with the feelings that they have inside. So it is to identify when something comes up that you are trying to clarify. For example, say you're trying to make a business decision, and in your business decision, you might feel tightness in your chest, or your stomach might feel heavy or drop or be in knots. You might like get sore areas on your body, that is your body, that is your intuition telling you something isn't quite right. And so that's when you go into a little bit further, like diving in, thinking about it, journaling, meditating, maybe pulling tarot cards if that is something that you have. But accessibility wise, if you don't have tarot cards, if you don't know how to use them, then absolutely come and join my membership, because that's what I teach. But it is but it is also about using what you've got, because if you don't have those things, you have a body, you probably have a pen and paper, you can use those. So it doesn't have to, you don't have to use like 60 different things and a 37 point ritual. No,
Right.
people don't have time for that.
Yeah.
People don't have time for that.
Yeah.
So no.
Yeah. 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 And I feel like I feel that deeply because I like started out with tarot. Like how do for me in my journey, I learned that obviously I tried all of the things and it's more of like I physically am that person that has to like see something and then like I would pull tarot for myself and then
Yeah.
I would not like the answer and then I would pull it again and it's like the
But
same
again.
answer. And then I would pull it again and it was like, fuck, okay, all right, like I get it. And it's like it's why I would always ask myself, why do I now already know the answer to something that I'm now asking something outside? And that's a pattern. That was a very big pattern for me of
Mhm.
like trusting somebody else's guidance versus trusting my own. It's like now I reverse that. Like I love tarot, I love pulling cards, but I feel myself the last year and a half not pulling
Mhm.
them or not feeling like I need to because it's more of like I talked about this on a podcast last week, but this radio silence of like I'll ask a question and I get nothing. And I'm like, uh-oh.
Mhm.
But then I'm like, okay, well, what's this about? And then like I've said this and they're like, "Oh, that's like the next level of like ask your body and like trust yourself." And it's like I'm not saying that there wouldn't be a time that I use tarot now, but it's like I was so heavily dependent on that, just like I
Mhm.
was so heavily dependent on a codependent relationship, that then I turned that addiction into being addicted to tarot cards and like doing
Yeah.
readings and like doing readings of myself. And it's just like I got the same answer, didn't like it, so I asked my cards. And then it's like they told me the same answer. And it's like I kept
Yep.
doing that to be like, again, tired of my own shit of like, okay, so now what do I do? I'm asking for that guidance, and I feel like you're very similar. You're probably like in that place of like you teach it in a way that empowers people versus being that codependent, or I should not codependent, but like dependent on
Oh
reading,
no, it
like
is
reading.
it is definitely a codependence thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's been excuse me, there's been times in my past with certain clients that have been like, yep, I need a tarot card reading, I need a tarot card reading, like constantly. And I've had to just say, stop, like stop. You are not listening to what I'm telling you. You're not listening to what your higher self is telling you. So how about you just stop for a minute and calm the fuck down and like just listen to yourself, listen and take action, listen and take action.
Right.
So yeah, there is a big thing around that. And there's so many like myths around certain like magical workings that drives me mad when people say, oh,
Yeah.
you can't read tarot for yourself. Yes, you fucking, yes,
Yeah.
you can.
Yeah.
That is what I teach. And
Right.
I do, there is a lot of stop pulling cards when you don't like the answer. I do.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
Yeah.
no, there's a reason why you got those cards. So think about it, like
Right.
journal through it if you need to, meditate if you need to,
Right.
ask in the membership if you're in the membership. Like
Yeah.
let's work through it.
Right.
And there's it's so easy as well when you're reading for yourself to just be like, no, I'm just going to pull again, I'm going to pull again. And yeah, we need to learn, like part of what I do is to help people to learn to listen to themselves because they
Right.
don't.
Yes. And I love that. That's like one thing that I love about what you do is because you are that non-filtered, you know, stop doing that. And I feel like that's exactly what I do too, of like I do it with myself. So it's like I'm more open and allowing. Some people I'm sure get triggered by like, why is she talking to me like that? Oh my God, like being offended and all that stuff. And it's just like, well, you're not for them because it's just who you are, you know? But I feel like the people that are like, oh man, I need that. Like, it's like more like, I don't want to say like accountability, but maybe it's more of like, oh, she kind of talks the same way that I talk. And it's like, you know, Carla Jane is very sweet and very kind. However, when it comes to you need to hear the other, if you're not hearing yourself, she's like that mirror. So I do truly love that about you.
Yep. There's a reason why I have a higher self bitch slap as my
I
trademarked
love that.
reading.
Yeah. Because my higher self, I have to say, is very sassy. So it's like I
Yeah.
always hear, like when I learned about that with you, I was like, oh my God, like that's literally what I feel like. I get smacked around by my higher self all the time because it's more of like, it's like my ego needs to calm down. I mean, I'm a person that didn't want my ego for a very long time of like, why do I need my ego? I don't want my ego. It's nasty. It's like, and it's like, oh, it's
Yeah.
my responsibility to evolve it and embody the more expressive, version of who I came here to be. You know what I mean? And I still need my
Yeah.
ego because it's still good, like
Yeah.
it's not the problem. It's the thing that keeps me safe of like, let me go run in the street when there's a car passing by, or like, oh, let me
Yeah.
go
It's
get
your
my hand.
survival.
Yeah. Let me make sure I don't put my hand on the hot stove that's burning, even though like for whatever reason I like to grab hot pans. Like, why am I doing this? Like oh yeah, let me go get something to grab it. Yeah. So you talked a
Yep.
little bit about coming out of the broom closet, and I feel like there's so many people right now waking up, like wherever they are in their journey of like, oh my God, more towards if it's spiritual or like I feel this way. Like it's such a big one, I think, right now. Like people are like
Mm.
coming out. Like what in real life? Like what does this look like in real life, especially for women that are scared? I've also seen this too, like scared of judgment or like maybe they're like losing clients or, maybe they're seen as unprofessional if they come from that professional world.
Mm. Yeah, exactly. There is such a stigma around it. And I think I think for me and also the age that I am, so I am at time of recording, I am 44.
Oh,
And
I love that.
I'm very like I just don't give a fuck anymore. And I think there's a lot of women in particular who are just going, I just don't care. I don't care anymore. And so
Yeah.
there is still that connection to, well, what if I'm seen as unprofessional? And it comes down to the witch wound because we
Yeah.
don't necessarily feel safe to express who we are. So we stay in these guardrails of like, this is what is acceptable, this is what is safe, this is what is going to protect me. Whereas it doesn't it doesn't really protect you. The only thing it does is kind of it just keeps you into this um like ceiling like box that we are desperate to kind of bust out of. So there is this need to just really feel into it. And there's also a lot of love and light brigade. And I do have a love hate relationship with the love and light brigade, because yes, we all come from love,
Yeah.
but I've got much respect for certain deities who are rageful, and I'm here for the sacred rage as well. And and also perimenopause. So there's times when I'm just
Yeah.
like full on, I'm gonna go fucking crazy on your ass. And I just have to like, so certain times I have to tamp it down, but other times I'm just gonna let rip,
Yeah.
because we just we can't get to that point where we are holding it in, internalizing it, because the internalizing, it hurts us. It doesn't
Yeah.
it in expressing who we are, it doesn't like it doesn't hurt anyone else because you're just expressing who you are. If somebody gets butthurt about how you're talking to them, then that's their problem. And we are so used to, as women, we are so used to being, be nice, be kind, be respectful. Yeah, fair play. I mean, everybody should be respectful,
Right,
but
right, right.
be like, be calm and like feminine and like, no, fuck that. Like,
Yeah,
if you need to have a moment, if you need to like primal scream, if you need to tell somebody in a way that's, works for you, I'm setting a boundary, then set that boundary.
right.
And, there's, sorry, I can go on. I get very passionate about this subject.
Yeah, no, I love that too because I like specifically lately I've been moving through a lot of anger
Mm-hmm.
and uh specifically of like I had this subconscious belief or this conversation, I guess, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, that I kept telling myself it's not okay to be angry, which is like, is that true? No, that's not true. It was somebody else's story that was running kind of ancestral. It was probably my mom's. Not that I'm blaming her, but like it was kind of like, don't be angry. It's not a, safe emotion. And it's like realizing my anger was kept me safe. I think it was like kept me safe for a very long time. And it's more of like just telling my body I'm allowed to feel angry. That in itself is like so relieving of like just carrying around this anger that I was just like bitter at like for no reason, And I feel like when you talk about that sacred rage and stuff, like I feel like a lot of us collectively have felt this like just, obviously that's sacred, which is you don't just start going around, being angry at everybody, like that's not
Yeah,
what I'm saying. And that's not what you're saying.
no,
But, like you're allowed to feel it in a way that it is respectful. Cause it's like, I heard this quote the other day. She does voice clips on TikTok and she's a poet. And she said something about, like hurt people, but sometimes hurt people don't hurt other people. And it's like, that's me. Like I was hurting, but I was also not somebody that would go hurt other people. Like that's literally what it is. Like you get to choose. Like if you're hurting, are you going to hurt somebody else and continue that pattern? Or are you going to be the one that is not like that person. As much as all of us, I know, when we're hurt or like we're mad or angry, we want to just like, rah, like,
yeah,
but it's like, that's not how you stop the pattern.
no. And
Yeah,
it goes internal. So hurt people, but hurt people can also hurt themselves.
right.
And
Yeah,
the internalizing is one of the hardest things one of the hardest habits as well
right. Yeah,
to let go of, because like you said, like the tamping down of the anger, it served you once because it kept you safe.
right.
And so now it's the habit to break. And those habits, those unconscious patterns that we have solidified consistently, neuroscience here, guys. This is
Love
like
it. Yeah,
that we have solidified and it becomes part of who we are.
right.
But we are now, I'm seeing more and more, and you're seeing more and more in a generation of curse breakers. So we're not doing that anymore.
Right.
We're choosing not to perpetuate the cycle. And so I'm gonna feel my feelings. I am going to
Right.
um not like berate myself over something because we've seen it through our parents, our caregivers, we've seen it through our grandparents, our ancestors. They've carried that with us, and then we go down my other nerdy hole, which is epigenetics. So the need to really like destabilize those like DNA level
Right.
wounds that have been passed down from generations. And this particular generation, so I'm not talking about just like millennials, Gen X. I'm talking about the generations after us as well. That
Right.
we are we are going no, and the kids now, they are saying no, we're not doing that. So
Right.
it's brilliant that we are in this age of Aquarius, because we are.
Right.
But it is also, there is so much going on, and there's still, it's like the old regime is still trying to hold on, but then
Yeah.
the new generations are going, we're not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
And it's brilliant, but it's also, it's a lot to try and navigate. So this is where, in in our little corner of the world, that we are taking that time to send out the ripples of change, that we are like, okay, it's okay to do this in your arena, like what you do matters. And you might feel like it doesn't matter because it may be not making a grand change, but it is making a change because people are watching, people are seeing, and the generations after us are watching and seeing and going, I'm going to do that.
Yeah. And especially too, like, for me having like Lily and she's 6
Mm.
and it's like watching, there is some damage control and I too, there's mistakes I've made that I'm
Oh yeah.
now like trying to kind of like, okay, so like how, but it was like specifically like the yelling piece. Like my mom was a yeller. She instantly gets frustrated before, I give Lily a lot of grace, I think, and patience until I don't and I warn her. But then it's like, okay, and then she's like, why are you yelling at me? And I'm like, okay, like, all right, like because 17 other times I asked you 17 different ways, like, and all of that stuff. So, like,
Yeah.
at that point, she's just being a kid. And also,
Yeah.
the specific thing that I've seen full circle with me is that the repair of like, I didn't realize how important the repair part was of like mommy chose to be frustrated, that choice of like I chose to be frustrated. It's not her fault that I got frustrated because she's not listening. It is my choice that I decided to be frustrated and I yelled, and that's why I yelled. And it's like I'm starting to see now that she's like, it's okay, mommy, you make a mistake. And it's like I don't do it all the time. I have to figure out within myself of like, why do I get frustrated when she's not listening? Like why wouldn't I? So it's like that type of thing that I've seen so much in myself that like I didn't realize this a couple of years ago, or I didn't even realize this like a couple months ago. And I realized that, like change that I'm doing, I see it in my parents. I see it in, like uh, my husband and his family and all that stuff. Like, even I see it in her bio dad that like was so unpresent before that now is more present that like he can be and he's trying to do better and he's trying to communicate and like we had communication that I'm just like this is stuff that like I thought would never happen. So it's like I can see the change now. Like, do I want it to be faster? Sure. That's my humanness.
Yeah.
But, like that doesn't happen. So like I feel like I'm a living example of like when you do the work yourself, it shows up in to your business, and it shows up and it also shows up when you're not. So like I also know that too. So it's like, it if you just I truly believe my belief is like for us to change the world is we have to start with ourselves of like, let's start with ourselves. Let's not focus on the rest of the world. Let's look within and look out. I mean, because like regardless, if you look at the world, you're gonna be like, this world is just but
But
because it is right now.
at the moment, yeah.
We're in a moment of like, what's going on?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So let's kind of talk like a little bit about like nervous system. We've been I feel like I talk so much about it now and I feel like, your work focuses so much a lot of on like visibility and like confidence. Like
Yeah.
what do you see as like big shadow patterns? Let's call them like shadow patterns spiritually like entrepreneurs have around of being seen. And like what are your like favorite ways that you help people move through them?
Sure. So it's the big one is feeling like a fraud. That
Okay.
is
Yeah.
the absolute biggest one, because you're like, I don't want to show up because I don't want people to then go, you don't know what you're talking about. And then the inner mean girl that I so affectionately call, um, generally tends to pipe up and go, you don't know, you've no idea what you're talking about. Like, what are you doing? And that actually happened to me while I was teaching a class on how to soothe your inner mean girl. So like very meta.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
there are so many ways that you can do it. And so I generally tend to be very heavy on the visualization,
Hmm.
because the brain doesn't know the difference between illusion and reality. So let's work with that exciting thing that has been proven. So scientifically, again, neuroscience. So we
Love
are like,
neuroscience.
oh yes, I love neuroscience.
Yes.
So we can like literally reprogram our brains to be less sensitized to getting out there and to sharing our message. And so there's certain things that you can do, as I said, like visualization of shushing the inner mean girl, like create like making them have a stupid voice, or just kind of like throwing them away or turning them down, like muting them. Oh, did that very old school. I did it like a button on the TV. It's showing me age there. But it is there are certain ways that you can like essentially mute your inner critic that is kicking off, and then there are ways that you can desensitize yourself to getting out there. So there are certain things that I do, and I also love to give people challenges. So I will use times when it is appropriate. So I work a lot with the lunar phases.
Hmm.
So I will say to people, okay, so it's like the first quarter. So when it's the first quarter, I'm like, right, it's time for action. So you've got 36 hours to do this, this, and this. And it's almost like exposure therapy
Right.
to say to people, okay, do this and then check back in with me, because people love accountability most of the time. I know not everybody does, but the people that I work with love accountability. I'm not holding your hand
Right.
because that is no good for you and it's no good for me. But it is about like just giving you a little shove in the right direction and just
Yeah.
say, just go and do it. And then we talk about it if you didn't do it. And then we say,
Right.
why didn't you do it? And then we look at like kind of you didn't feel safe, or it wasn't appropriate, or you just got busy, or you got busy with the like productive procrastination where you're like, no, I had to do 6,000 loads of laundry and rearrange my pantry. That was not what you needed to do right now. Um,
Right.
and I also work with a lot of people on the spectrum, so neurodivergent entrepreneurs, because it's a thing out there. Like I
Yeah.
see a lot of neurodivergent entrepreneurs, because it's like it's a creativity thing. And I know not everyone who is creative is neurospicy, but there are a lot of people
Yeah.
who are. And it is like it's fantastic to be able to just kind of zero in on those aspects. And it kind of harkens back to my days when I was a teacher. So I
Yeah.
worked a lot with students who were on some form of ADHD or ADHD or autistic, and it was a great challenge, and I love a challenge. I will get my teeth into that and just be like, right,
Yeah.
okay, how can I explain this to you in a way that is going to help? And
Right.
so yeah, I do love to be able to differentiate um and help people when I know those techniques are going to work,
Yeah.
because it's not a one size fits all, because some of my clients can't visualize. So we look
Right.
at different ways to do that. I mean, like, I can't relate. I've got the world's like most overactive imagination possible. Like, I have full on like movies in my mind.
Right.
Whereas, yeah, there are people out there. I think it's aphantasia, where you can't visualize, like you don't see any images. And part of
Yeah.
that is like part of me seeing images is clairvoyance. So
Right.
I do see a lot of images and I hear things as well. So
Yeah.
um, but yeah, like leaning into what their strengths are and knowing enough to be able to help people in a way that's going to help them.
And I love that you say strengths because I feel like, people that look at other people, like place of judgment, obviously, of like, oh, I don't have what she has. Oh, I don't have all her gifts. And it's like, I've had actually a couple people have said that to me a couple weeks ago and last week. And I was like, why do they keep saying this? Like, like I'm like, well, what? Then I like pull out like what you said. I'm like, well, what do you like? How do you see things? Like, are you visual or do you hearing things? Like, do you smell things? Do you taste things? Like, what, is it a feeling? Like, what is it for you? And it's more of like that awareness of like that, all of us can have all of that, but it's
Yeah,
like, do they allow themselves to do that? And I need to figure out like, do they? And usually it's not. And it's like, well, if I say something to you, do you get goosebumps or do you or just like have this deep like I know what she's talking about. I don't know how to explain it or like something like that. And they're like, "Oh yeah." I'm like, "Okay. That is a gift." Like
yeah,
just understanding that. Like there is some people that used to or have been, clairaudient, but some people that's too overwhelming and overstimulating for them that they're like, "I don't want to hear stuff." Like me, I like all of it. So it's like I do hear and see things, and I feel things and
yeah,
I can, all that. But it's like taking myself back to like when I first started, that would be scary to me. Like hearing things and not differentiating. Well, I've always seen things, I've just suppressed that with my trauma. But, you know, when I hear things, I'm like, is that my voice or is that like getting downloaded or like, is that like, I had to kind of differentiate my higher self versus my own ego
yeah.
versus like, is this a message? You know what I mean? I think that, that is really powerful too. What I've learned going through all like the whole process because, it really is kind of now this whole like radio silence. It's not really radio science left silence.
Yeah,
Like it's more of like, I know what to do. Now ask myself, why am I
yeah.
avoiding that? Like, why am I avoiding doing that, saying that, whatever? And like being able to
Mhm.
like call myself out versus having somebody else call me out and be like, I know. Sometimes I do need that. Like, this is what I'm feeling.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like everybody needs like that mentor to, Alicia is very good, very gentle with that. But,
yeah.
like
I'm
we
not so
always
gentle.
have that, like I constantly, I always hear her voice like in my mind
Mm,
sometimes of like, when I'm avoiding something. Well, why, honey, are you doing that? I always that gentle, like, why, honey, are you doing that? That I just
yeah,
related to when I'm on calls with Alicia of like, what, honey,
yeah.
why are you doing that? Of like, it could be her or it could be just like my higher self. It's not my higher self. It's probably, her saying that. And I
Oh
think it's
yeah,
powerful,
yeah,
like for to keep me moving forward. And it's more like you said, accountability before.
yeah.
I always felt like I needed to keep a or people came to me for accountability, but then I realized very quickly a couple of years ago that they also meant that I was dragging their dead body. And I'm like, I'm not dragging dead bodies. Like that's not what
No,
I'm doing either.
no,
Because I
we're
have
not
that
doing that.
experience too, like of doing that.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, we're not doing that. Don't need to learn that lesson three times, like I think that that is, in business, I think a lot of people me included before, replace like the hustle with like spiritual soul. And then I was
Yes.
doing like 17 different rituals instead of like resting. And then, I was like, well, this is now burnout again, a different type of burnout, but like this is burnout again. So, how sustainable that you teach this success, like still honoring the magic piece without turning it into another pressure-filled performance. Like how do you teach this with your clients?
Literally by telling them that. I'm like, you
Oh,
don't
okay.
need to do like as I said, 17-point ritual, and you don't need to get up at 6 a.m. to greet the sunrise and do this. And if you miss a moon ritual, it's okay. Like
Yeah.
you like stop beating yourself up about it, because that is more like damaging than missing a ritual or missing a moon phase or like missing a cosmic conjunction or anything like that. I'm like,
Right.
time is an illusion. It doesn't fucking matter.
Right.
So just do what feels good for you at that time. And i'm I'm also very, very like adamant around, if you work better with a full moon than a new moon, then work with the full moon. If you decide that this, like, because I teach, part of what I teach is the manifesting cycle of the lunar phases. So um, if you don't work very well with new moons and you feel really drained and just feel crappy in general, then, and you feel magic and alive on a full moon, then do your manifesting ritual then. Like, just
Right.
because I'm telling you that this is how we do the manifesting ritual doesn't mean that you have to hold it in high regard if it doesn't work for you. And so that is pretty much any of my techniques that I share that haven't been, I guess, scientifically proven. So things like working with cognitive behavioral technique, like that's
Right.
scientifically proven.
Right.
So I do work with that, and
Yeah.
like certain parts of rewiring and things. But when it comes to magical workings, when it comes to witchcraft, working with the seasons, working with the elements, do what makes you happy,
Right.
because like there are no rules. There really are no rules. Like do what makes you happy, do what you feel is respectful, and like just like follow your heart. Because
Right.
if you are overcomplicating it, then I'm going to give you a bitch slap and be like, no, let's not overcomplicate it. Let's strip it back to the basic elements that are going to help you. Because if you overcomplicate it and then you start stressing out about it, you're overthinking about it, then it's not working.
Right.
So let's do it from a place of clarity as opposed to a place of desperation or fear,
Yeah.
because fuck that noise.
Right. Yeah. And I feel like that was a reminder to myself too, because with the new moon in Aquarius today when we're recording and
Yep.
the eclipse, so like let me just say that too. And it's like, the reset and like all this stuff. And it's just like had this like had this like intuitive nudge to like clean my floors yesterday, but then I like had resistance to it. And then I also wanted to wash my hair. And then I had resistance to it too. And then I was like, oh, I wonder. So like intuitively, like I knew it was coming, but then I was like, what are the like, do's and don'ts? And then I was like, just so people want to know, if they want to know, just it's like an FYI, you can do whatever you want to do, but don't do this and then don't like do more of this. And it was more of like everybody, in my membership was like, oh my goodness, I was going to do the same thing. And I felt this huge resistance. I was like, listen to that. Like it was my teaching moment was, even though I'm saying don't do this, like you also don't have to listen to me. I'm just
Yeah.
not going to do it because like I'm listening to my body more of like that resistance of like, why do I feel like I'm doing six other things, but then like that's what I really thought I wanted to do. And then like listening to that and then
Yeah.
realizing I watched a video that was like somebody was like, make sure you don't wash your hair, make sure you're not cleaning your
Mm-hmm.
floors. And I was like, that's why. I couldn't put
Yeah.
like two and two together. And I think that that is like what you were saying, like do it. But, like for me, I'm really normally really drained around like a new moon.
Mm-hmm.
But it was this different this time of like,
Yeah.
I'm listening to my body throughout the entire month. So it's like, it's kind of like, I'm not completely like to the point that I can't do anything. And I think that that is really important. I mean, I know it's not for everybody. Life still happens. It's
Oh yeah.
still chaos, and it's just like, but that period of like my spiritual practice or something that it's like I'm still honoring. And I think that that is kind of like what you were just saying about the not, I came from putting that pressure on from the hustle. And then it's more of like, now I'm not doing it from a space of pressure. And that
Yeah.
feels so much easier. But I didn't realize that when I was doing it. Like none of us realize that when we're going through
No,
it.
we don't. There's
Yeah.
no manual to human. Like
Yeah.
we just have to make it up
Yeah.
as we go along.
Yeah. I think somebody needs to, speaking about a book, tell us about your book, Carla. What is your book about? What is it
Something I prepared
called?
earlier. This is Moon
I
Magic.
I think it's beautiful. I love it.
Your girl designed it herself.
Oh my
So
gosh. Yes.
yes,
Very
this is
creative.
it is a moon phase ritual guide. So inside it's full color. You've got there's journal stuff in there. So I'm
And I
just
don't
trying
have
to.
that. Why don't I have that? I'm gonna
I
actually
don't know why you don't
uh
have
I know. I'm gonna actually, when we're done recording, I'm gonna go buy it because I'm like, why don't I
available on
have that?
Amazon.
Yeah.
And it's in my link tree as well.
Yes.
So
We'll make sure that
it's
tree
all
is
like I don't know if you can see that. Things like ideas for rituals that you can do.
okay.
There's like explaining what you can do during certain phases, and then just explaining about rituals as well. Um, there's loads of cool shit in here. So like learning how to do amulets and how to draw down the moon's energy. And there's so much that you can use in there. And I keep it simple
Yeah.
because simple is best
Yeah.
because we are complex, weird creatures and very good at overcomplicating shit. And I don't want to do
Great.
that. So
Yes.
yeah,
I love that. Make sure if you're watching that, if you're watching this or if you're listening, make sure you go to the YouTube because she showed us a little bit about the book and just the front of it. You can just buy it for the front of it. It's beautiful. Like, it's just like, I need that. Even if I don't know what's inside of that, I need that.
I love it so much.
Yeah. I'm
It's
like,
it was
what?
a labor
I
of
know you
love.
had a book, but I was like, why don't I have that? And I feel like you can use that. It doesn't have to be like an eclipse energy. It just means like you
No,
have it. Yeah, like it's just phases of, and very
yeah.
simple. You could go
It's just
Google, yeah, what phase it is in and use that book according to
yeah,
it. Yeah, I love that.
exactly. And it's there are like two versions. This is a slightly longer version. There's more bits in here,
Hmm.
and more things like journal prompts and stuff. But you can, if budget wise it's not in the budget to grab the book, there is a free version of it on my link tree. So it's the same thing, it's moon magic, moon phase rituals. So you can grab it, see what it's like. It's the same design, it's very pretty. So you can grab that if you want to work it for your business, because this is like general, so it's like for personal work. For
Okay.
business, I'm working on a book. It's coming. It's just not there yet. Um, but that I do have the Moon Led Business ebook, so you can download that. It's free, so you can
Yeah.
grab that too.
Yeah.
And I'm always popping new shit up like all the time.
Yeah. I was going to say, I was literally going to ask you, have you made one for business? But you just answered that question.
I did,
Yeah.
yes.
I think it's really, uh, I think that's going to be I think it's huge because it's more of like, I didn't realize when I first started, I just intuitively always used the
Yeah,
energy, like with launches,
yeah,
energy management, planning, visualization of like when I would do something. And then I would be like, oh, no wonder. Or for me, it's like, why do I do launches around Mercury retrograde? And it's like, oh, I got to learn tech issues. And it's like, oh, I got to make sure that this is not keeping me hidden. And it's like, oh, okay. And like now it doesn't really matter what's going on. Like there's always going to be some tech issue or tech's not going to work or like my
Oh,
internet's
yeah.
not going to connect. It's just like my internet, so now, but I used it for the longest time to be like, can't get on a podcast then, can't do this, can't do that. Now it's just like, oh, that's what's happening. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All
It's
right.
the same with eclipses. Like
Yeah.
it's chaotic energy, but I'm here
Yeah.
for it because chaos witch.
I was gonna say I feel like I operate better during all
Yeah.
that. But yeah. So before we wrap up, Carla, can you please tell, or maybe like, do you have like, if a woman is listening or man is listening who is still hiding, um, that maybe feels called to integrate like tarot, moon work, witchcraft into their brand, but they're scared. What is like one tiny baby step that they can take like this week after listening to this podcast to start showing up as the real them?
Oh, I think learning to trust your gut, to just start to notice the signs that your body is giving you. So what does it feel like? Identify it. Think about like what's the feeling underneath it. And if you are called to, jump into moon rituals or jump into learning more about the astrological stuff or tarot or oracle cards, then go where your stomach is leading you. Because when we can trust ourselves, that is the best basis for a successful life in general. So being able to have that level of self-trust because you are backing it up with your intuitive connection is so, so important.
Yes, thank you for that. And thank you, Carla Jayne. I've loved this conversation. And I know that if you're listening, you probably felt very seen, activated, and like, let me just say, called out in the best way. Thank you so much for being here with us. And if you love this episode, make sure you go follow Carla Jayne on all of her links. They will be, if you're, like I said, if you're watching this, they will be over on, if you're watching this, they'll be below in the description box. And if you're listening to this, they'll be below in the show notes. I hope you have an amazing rest of your week, and I will see you next time.
If today's episode spoke to you and you're ready to rise with support, I'd love to invite you in to the Enlightened Misfits Sisterhood, a sacred community for spiritual entrepreneurs to heal, grow, and lead with purpose. You can join us by using the link below in the show notes or connecting with me over on Facebook or Instagram at The Mermaid Light. If you loved today's episode, subscribe, share, and leave a review. This helps support us reach more women who are ready to rise. Remember, your journey isn't about fitting in. It's about embracing the truth of who you are. Until next time, stay inspired, stay aligned, and keep creating your extraordinary path. This is Lauren, and you've been listening to the Enlightened Misfits podcast.